sometimes it can be more effective to just sort of observe. And I also, I think, really enjoy new experiences, and I have as clearly non-immigrant as I appear, and as much I kind of stood out in different places. My tendency is to kind of hang back and sort of blend in, and I really like that. So I think those all sort of went into it. Plus, it was the fact that so much was being discussed at these times about immigration, and especially about the jobs and how good they are to the country, and how either they're good or they're not good. And it was all kind of abstract, people making abstract arguments. And I wanted to try to get close and see not only what the work was like, but then get close to learning about how the workers ended up there and how they viewed their time in the U.S. and their experiences. So there were these 3 different segments. By the 3rd segment, I told pretty much everyone right away because the book was done. The first segment, I didn't tell anyone. And the second segment, I didn't really tell many people until I got fired. And the reason was just like logistically, like I was worried that if any sort of if any word came out that there was this book that I was doing where I was going undercover different jobs and writing about the workers, like it could cut off future access. And so I didn't want to tell people and let it, like the first job, that might somehow impact my ability to get jobs at the other 2. In retrospect, I don't know if that would have really happened, you know? I don't know if it was that big a deal, but that was really the reason I waited till the end for most of it. It was just I didn't want, it was the same reason. There's this publication that kind of puts out tracks like new book deals or something, and they describe what the book deal is about, or what the book's about. And like we didn't do that for that either, just because it didn't seem there's nothing to be gained by getting any sort of publicity. You don't know whose hands it might end up in. What I see is that as I spend more time there, and there'd be clients in there that were spending a lot of time dealing with the guy's name was, I think I called him Gus. Maybe that was his real name. That as people were searching for their plants, Gus would just be berating the workers. And it was like no one gave a crap. Like it was just sort of like, oh yeah, that guy's screaming really crazy at him, but I really need these like this type of branch for this photo shoot or this model thing that we're doing or this car commercial that we want to have it drive over Hollandberries for some reason. And so people just didn't seem, they had blinders on. You know.
What was like the biggest criticism you got for like writing this book? It's like
well, one that I was too sympathetic to immigrants was a common one, that I didn't know what I was talking about, that if all the immigrants left in a place like Yuma or Alabama, that other people would come and do the work, which I don't think is totally true. The other criticism that struck more closely to home that I engaged with more was, you know, you're only getting all this publicity about the book because you're a white author writing about it. You know, people, I can go to book talks and people will be often happy to hear me and applaud the work. And, you know, I did this for a very short period of time. And it was part of a book thing, part of my professional career. Meanwhile, workers all over the country are doing this kind of work without fanfare and getting, you know, shit wages for it, and so that in some ways you're exploiting the workers that you're writing about. Or so that's a harder one to answer. I think my response when I first got those, I was really defensive, you know, which kind of shuts down your thinking process. Like no, and it's like you can't really engage with the question. I mean, I think I really the purpose of the book in my mind was, one, I needed to really be clear that this was not me walking in the shoes of immigrants or other people. You know, my shoes I have much more privileged shoes, and I can walk out in other places that other people can't. But that to also try to often have the story be about the people I'm meeting and the work I'm meeting, and the work they're doing, and that
I think it'd be really great to have more workers who are doing the work, get the kind of publicity and write the books I have. It's just very difficult. You know, when you're doing that work full time and juggling all these things. John Steinbeck, I don't know if anyone's read like some of John Steinbeck's books, but I was reading this biography of him, who wrote Grapes of Wrath and Mice of Men and a bunch of other books. And his idea was he was going to dig ditches as a young kid, and then when he's done digging as a young man, he'd be digging ditches to make money, and then he'd come home and write. What he found is he'd dig ditches and come home and pass out. He had no energy for the creative stuff that goes into writing. And I think that's really like the position of someone like me is very privileged. You know, that much of the day I spend doing work that I really enjoy, and while there are anxieties I have about it or difficulties, you know, it's work I enjoy, and it doesn't like physically destroy me.